Why can't Iowa attract more athletic, faster, and more elusive skill position players? That's been a question Iowa football fans have been asking for years. Well, that trend may be starting to turn in Iowa's favor. More on that in a moment. Before we get to our video for today, a reminder, if you've not already done so, please hit the subscribe button here at From the Hawkeye of the Storm on YouTube. Recruiting videos, regular content here, Hawkeye-related content, Iowa basketball postgame shows, football content, and more. Again, hit the subscribe button and please hit the like button on this video as well. So, the news today, Iowa grabs another 2023 commitment in Marion, Iowa native Alex Moda. Now, we opened the segment here talking about speed and athleticism. And it is true, Iowa fans, that's one thing I have heard during some of our live shows is why can't Iowa recruit the athletic speedsters, the difference makers on the outside? Now, I do acknowledge, you have to acknowledge that Ihmir Smith-Marsette has been one of the faster Iowa receivers in the Kirk Ferentz era. He did just graduate, a little over a year ago, so we have to understand that. But for the most part, I understand where Iowa fans are coming from in desiring more speed out there. I do think Keegan Johnson and Arlen Bruce both bring different types of athleticism and certainly different skill sets to the table, and will continue to develop under Kelton Copeland's leadership there in the wide receiver room. But Alex Moda is going to bring Iowa something that Iowa fans have wanted for a long time: speed and elusiveness. Now, he is being recruited as an athlete, and I'm saying being recruited again, as we well know, a commitment from any player at any level does not necessarily mean that he's locked in. I mean, a commitment you'd like to think is a commitment and that he will sign in December, but we all know that recruiting continues past an individual's commitment date, and so other schools, especially if his stock continues to rise, will likely get involved. But Moda played quarterback in high school, played defensive back as well. It sounds like, according to Rob Howe of HawkeyeNation.com, through his conversation with Alex, it sounds like Iowa wants him as a receiver. They believe he can play receiver in college. And Moda, he's got the intangibles. He's 6'1", according to Rivals, at about 175. I mean, he's your prototypical receiver. But it'll be interesting to see, hands-wise. And that's the first thing that pops into my mind. Does he have the hands? Certainly has the speed, and again, has the athleticism, understands the relationship between a quarterback and a wide receiver. Of course, has played the majority of his high school career on the other end of that, but certainly has the intangibles to be an effective Iowa wide receiver. I will be intrigued to hear, did other schools offer Moda to play quarterback? I think that's an interesting prospect, and I'm not implying that they have, but watching him on tape, again, in highlight film, take that with a grain of salt, but in his highlights, he looks like he's got some decent arm strength. He's got the ability to throw on the run, and he certainly would be a dual threat guy. I'm not saying they're going to play Moda at quarterback at Iowa, and certainly Iowa has done a nice job with former quarterbacks becoming wide receivers. Clinton Solomon comes to mind. Certainly Marvin McNutt comes to mind. Those guys were different, more maybe physically impressive guys, but again, Moda has speed and athleticism that not accustomed to seeing, and they'll have another quarterback on the roster, another former quarterback on the roster. So push game to shove, I'm sure Moda could at least fill some sort of a need there. But they're recruiting him, it sounds like, as a receiver, possibly defensive back, but he will certainly benefit Iowa on the outside. Also as a track star, that should be noted as well, and played basketball, multi-sport athlete. No surprise there. Iowa loves its multi-sport athletes. But when you look at Moda on tape, you see a guy who's not afraid to be physical. Again, he's not real big, but he clearly has a good feel for the game. And again, his speed stands out on tape. And I preface every video that I do on commitments and signees by saying that I am no recruiting expert. I am simply relaying what I have seen in the limited amount of tape that I've been able to observe. And I was getting a good one. Nebraska was in on Moda, wanted Alex Moda to come to play for the Huskers. They offered. Miami, Ohio offered. Iowa State offered. Kansas State, Kansas also offered. Missouri was in on him. And Wisconsin, offer from Wisconsin, which is always a good sign. Notre Dame had interest. Indiana had interest. Louisville had reported interest. He also got an offer from Iowa Central. Vanderbilt was interested, and my understanding is that Northwestern was interested in addition to Michigan State. So a number of schools, and again, we've got a lot of time left. That's why I keep saying these early commitments. Of course, Chase Brackney, defensive lineman from Colorado, committed last week to the Hawkeyes. But, I mean, we're talking 8 months before signing day, before the early signing day, of course, when most of these athletes will sign. So there's a lot of time for other schools to swoop in here. Iowa will continue to recruit Moda, but certainly when you can keep any of your top in-state prospects in the state of Iowa, that is a positive, and beating out the likes of Iowa State, Nebraska, and Wisconsin, 3 of your probably 4 biggest rivals, and you could argue the top 3, no offense to Minnesota fans, but again, just a big get for a guy who is going to bring a different level of speed and athleticism. And he got length. He's got length at 6'1". Possibly could be a bit reminiscent of an Ihmir Smith-Marsette, just the way he plays. Does he have the speed that Ihmir has? I don't know. So that obviously would bring to mind punt returns and kick returns. Could he be a guy who helps them on special teams there as well? I would not be surprised to see him help on special teams fairly early in his career. I'm just speculating. And that, of course, that's the pathway to the field early as an underclassman at Iowa. Certainly, Moda has an opportunity to impact Iowa from an athleticism, speed, and again, elusiveness standpoint that most Iowa fans are not accustomed to under Kirk Ferentz. And certainly alluded to earlier the fact that Iowa fans want more speed and athleticism recruited here. And I'm not trying to overreact to one commitment from Alex Moda. But the reason I could see this trend possibly turning a bit, they've still got Kyler Casper on the board. And if Casper were to come here along with Moda in 23, boy, those are 2 really athletic, dynamic playmakers on the outside, potential dynamic playmakers on the outside that could potentially move the needle a bit from a skill position recruiting standpoint. Just speculation. So congratulations to Alex Moda. We hope to speak with Alex here soon to talk about his commitment, so keep it locked right here from the Hawkeye of the Storm on YouTube. More content coming your way on an almost daily basis during basketball season and even during the off season. I'm Corey Brada from the Hawkeye of the Storm.